The past couple of days we talked about fake news, and today I would like to look into why would people believe fake news in spite of all of the information that they are given. Okay, so we're going to talk today about something called confirmation bias. So today's assignment is called challenging confirmation bias. You may or may not have heard this term before. Confirmation bias is a tendency to interpret information in a way that affirms what we already believe. So what that means is whatever I already believe right now, like let's say that I think that COVID is a man-made fake disease that the government is using to control the population. Let's pretend I believe that, okay? What if I use confirmation bias to look at information then about coronavirus, I am only going to choose to believe the things that already support my opinion or things that support what I already believe. Okay. So if I see information from the CDC that gives all kinds of details about why coronavirus is very real and very dangerous and why I need to be very concerned about contracting or spreading it, if I see that information, in spite of how factual it may be or how credible the source may be, my brain will turn it off. My brain will choose not to believe any facts that are put in front of me because I came into the situation thinking that COVID was a hoax. Okay? So, confirmation bias. Again, it means that we believe what we want to believe. We believe what we already think to be true in spite of any facts that are put in front of us. Okay? So, why do people believe fake news? This is a really big reason. Let's take a look at it. Our essential question: how can we challenge our own confirmation bias? No matter how open-minded or woke we are, we all have confirmation bias. Okay? I am much more likely to share something on Facebook if I believe it and want it to be true than I am to share it, if it's something that contradicts my previously held beliefs. And I could admit that, okay? Because I know we all have this issue. So we have to think about how can we challenge ourselves so that we look at things more realistically and with a more open mind and don't spread things that aren't true. So our objectives for today are, we're going to learn to define confirmation bias and identify why it occurs. We're going to explore examples of confirmation bias, particularly related to news and online information. And we are going to identify strategies for challenging our own confirmation biases. And this right here is the hardest part because nobody wants to admit when they might be wrong. So here, this slide, if we were in the classroom right now, I would have you all look at these 3 news headlines, and I would have you share in groups which ones you think to be true and which ones you think to be fake. Okay, so this one says, Japan finally abandons microwave ovens by 2020. By I'm a Writer, August 12th, 2019. The other one is, new iPhone will come with a holographic keyboard and projector. That is by Ren Rudd, August 12, 2019. And this headline says, Australia to introduce 33 different genders on passports, by Jordan Lee. Again, August 12, 2019. So I would ask you all to take a look at these 3 headlines and think to yourselves, okay, which ones of these do we think are probably true and which ones do we think are probably fake? I'm going to tell you, without knowing myself right now, that if I looked at the name here, the person who allegedly wrote this, I'm a writer, sounds like I'm a writer, I would take this as a clue that this is fake because I don't think that's a person's real name. Okay? So all 3 of these, though, could be very believable. If you think about it, how cool would it be to have an iPhone with a holographic keyboard and projector? And with all of the things that iPhones can do for us now, I use my iPhone to turn on my coffee maker in the morning. I lay in bed and turn on my coffee maker with my phone. So this is really believable because we already believe that iPhones are like the end all be all and can do everything. All all right? Or if you are part of the LGBTQ community, or you support that particular community, you might be really excited to hear that Australia is going to open up ideas to all kinds of genders, and so that it's not just male or female on the passport, but that there are 33 different potential genders that you could identify as. You might want to believe that. Or, to the contrary, if you are very anti-LGBTQ, okay, you might be inclined to believe this just because it makes you really, really angry and you want a reason to be angry about it. So, which ones are true, which ones aren't? What we already think is going to determine how we feel about that. What happens here is what we call cognitive bias. Cogna is Latin for to know, K-N-O-W, to know something. So anytime you see cogna in something, it has something to do with thinking in your brain. Cognitive is brain bias, thinking bias. So this is limitations in our thinking caused by perceiving information through our personal experiences and preferences. Again, basically this means that we believe the things that we already want to believe. And we disregard the things that we don't want to believe, regardless of whether or not we are given factual evidence to the contrary. So we're going to watch a quick video here, and it is embedded in the presentation that I am uploading also to this assignment, okay? It's a short video about confirmation bias in your brain. And I want you to consider this question while we watch this. It says, why does confirmation bias make us more likely to be fooled by fake news? Okay, how come confirmation bias makes us more likely to be fooled by fake news?
Hey, come here. Did you know that RuPaul claims that Trump touched him inappropriately in the 90s? Or that Obama signed an executive order banning the Pledge of Allegiance in schools nationwide? Okay, we all know that was some grade A, top shelf, premium fake news. But you knew that, right? You're way too smart and well-informed to fall for that BS. But what if falling for fake news isn't about intelligence or how much information you have? What if we're hardwired to believe what we want to believe, regardless of the facts? The 2016 presidential election saw fake news come out of nowhere. A BuzzFeed analysis showed that the top 20 fake news articles on Facebook generated more clicks than the top 20 real articles from every major publication combined. They were shared millions of times. And it's not that we're just sharing fake news. We appear to be believing the stories too. A recent poll found that people believe fake news articles were somewhat or very accurate 75% of the time. How could we be falling for fake news when we have these things? We have instant access to more information than we've ever had before. Debunking misinformation should be a piece of cake, right? Decades of brain research say no. Turns out, our brains have other plans. A little something called cognitive bias. Cognitive bias is defined as a limitation in our thinking that can cause flaws in our judgment. It's kind of like an annoying brain glitch that can lead us to make faulty conclusions. Fake news often exploits this, and our brains love it, even if we're not conscious of it happening. Once we form conclusions, they're hella hard to change, even if we're presented with facts or evidence that directly contradict those conclusions. So, what exactly is going on in our brains to make us think that fake news is real news? Why can't facts change our minds? There are many flavors of cognitive bias, but one of the most researched is confirmation bias. We seek out information that we believe or want to believe is true. It also leads us to ignore or minimize facts that threaten what we believe. So here's a study that explains how it works. Back in 2004, during the Kerry Bush election, researchers studied a group of 30 people, half Democrat, half Republican. Both candidates did what politicians do. They flip-flopped on the issues. Then the study asked the participants to analyze what the candidates said. The participants let the candidate in their own party off the hook, but were super critical of the candidate in the other party. When researchers looked at their brain scans, they found that the area of the brain responsible for reason, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, wasn't active. So people weren't using reason when evaluating the candidates they liked, but they were using the part of the brain that processes emotion, the orbital frontal cortex, a classic case of confirmation bias. And their brains are also rewarding them with the rush of dopamine, a neurotransmitter that makes you feel good. So, is there any upside to confirmation bias? Well, it could help protect us from ideas that may threaten our social standing and our tribe. Dan Kahan, a law and psychology professor at Yale University, calls it identity protective cognition. We humans are hypersocial, so it's more important to protect our values and our relationships with family and friends than it is to risk losing that last document beliefs. Are you familiar with Tomi Lahren? She's a conservative political commentator.
A protest is a peaceful objection to a grievance. A bunch of sore losers occupying a space is called a tantrum.
But recently, she expressed her pro-choice view on abortion.
No, I'm pro-choice, and here's why.
As a result, members of her conservative tribe turned on her. Ouch. So, how do we defeat confirmation bias? Well, you really can't, but our 3-step plan can help you get around it. Step 1 is recognize. Recognize that you have this bias in the first place. We all do. You made it this far in the video, so you can check that one off. Step 2 is consider. Consider that you may not really understand what you think you understand. Researchers call it the illusion of explanatory depth. Let's say I strongly believe that GMOs are bad for me. If someone forces me to explain it, I just might realize that I don't understand it as well as I thought I did. Now, I might be less confident in my belief and more receptive to another point of view. Step 3 is research. Research can break down the opposing viewpoint. You may realize that your understanding of where they're coming from is a bit too shallow. So now you know the perils of confirmation bias and have some tools to beat it. Let's try it out. Without being a smartass, pick a controversial topic and use step 3 on it. Don't try to persuade, but instead use research and facts to lay out why the other side believes what it believes. Put your dorsolateral prefrontal cortex to good use, will you?
All right, so I think when you take a look here, the 3 most important steps we can take, according to this video, are to recognize that we have confirmation bias. Okay, this is like in 12-step programs, they always tell you, step 1 is admitting that you have a problem. Okay, so you have to admit to yourself, you have a problem. You have confirmation bias. All right. 2, consider that you may not really understand what you think you do. And he gave you a couple of options there, like trying to explain yourself and why you think that, you might find out that you don't know as much as you thought. Or in trying to show the other side, and look at the other side, you might realize that you didn't really know some things that you thought you knew. And then the last step is research and break down the viewpoint of those who disagree with you. So being willing to go and look at sources that you would not normally look at is a really important step. And just kind of as a side note, we have so many options in news media nowadays. We have so many options that what most people do is they choose the news source that they really, really like the best and only watch that news source. So then they are never getting information from other sides. Okay? So when we're not willing to look at other points of view, that's where we come into a problem. So here's what you're going to do for your activity today. Attached to today's assignment on Google Classroom, there is a document called Challenging Confirmation Bias, Biased Brains. I want you to open it up and follow the directions to complete the activity. I will show you here what it looks like. Okay, it looks like this. You don't really need to put your name and the date at the top because it's already, it's in the Google Classroom, so it's already linked to your name. But you're going to choose 2 sources to review. I actually edited this out in your document. You're not working in a group, obviously, because you're at home right now. Choose 2 resources to review. As you review, track what each says about confirmation bias and fake news. Capture your thoughts in the notes section. So, like, if you are going to do cover up your confirmation bias is showing, and you look at this article, you're going to, here on the second page, you're going to put here in this box that you looked at resource 1, cover up your confirmation bias is showing. Here in this box, you're going to write down what does this resource show about confirmation bias and fake news. Okay, so what does it tell us about confirmation bias and fake news? And then in this last column, I want you to answer this. How can we challenge confirmation bias, especially with what we see online? So considering what you read in that article, number one, answer these two questions. So there are actually three, there's room to do all three, but I'm only requiring you to do two. So you can, this is an article from a news magazine. This is a video from Facing History and Ourselves, and this is an article as well. Okay? So that's it for today. If you have any questions, feel free to contact, and have a great rest of your day.